Somebody asked me today, because they saw the manuscript of the book, so they read it, and they asked me how did it happen? So how did I write it? Because the story kind of was invented right now, and before there were the paintings, but they fit into the story. So what happened? And I wanted to explain it. So about a year ago, I had this idea that I could actually write a book, and it appeared to me as something new, because I always thought about myself as a painter. I'm a painter, so I don't write books, it's for somebody else. But the idea was to explain to people how I see things, other than only with paintings, because they didn't seem to catch it that well. So I wanted to add some words. The idea was to use both images and text as something together to explain how I see things. But I didn't have the overall story, I didn't have the idea what it's gonna be about. So it was an idea somewhere in my head, and it stayed there. And then I came to Costa Rica, many things changed. One day I was talking to my husband about, he said, "Oh, you wrote this article about mirrors." I said, "Okay, so maybe you will publish it, because it was quite interesting, so you should publish it." And I was thinking, okay, but it's not finished. I should sit down and try to finish it. It was interesting, but maybe I should close it somehow. And then I was thinking, okay, and I came up to this idea that it's gonna be the motif of my book, the bird, and it kind of somehow, the story began in my head. And I sat down, I went to my room and sat down and wrote on pieces of paper just all the motifs and symbols and things in my dreams and characters, and things from therapy, from my paintings, from any analysis that I made, any meditations that I've done, different things that I imagined. It was, for example, the Great Tambellina, or the motif of the circle, or the broken people, or any emotions that I wanted to talk about, problems, stupid woman, these things that I wrote everything down, and I said, okay, it's gonna be the first part, and later I'm gonna sit down and add some more. And when I finished, I looked at this and I said, okay, that's it. That's what I want to write about. I don't want to add anymore. Okay, so then I cut up all these things into small pieces, so each one concept was on a small piece, and then I rearranged them together in groups, so they have, for example, a character, some symbols and emotions and problems that were somehow connected, so they went together, and that's how the chapters were formed. So for example, the Great Tambellina and being locked up in a small space, and the mechanism that is defending us, and somehow it's ourselves. This concept was together with this character, and it formed a chapter, and that's what happened with all of them. Then I sat down and wrote the text basic on this. It was a couple of days just writing, very, very intensive. And then I stopped before chapter 11, which is the worst for me. And I had a couple of days break, and I couldn't make myself do chapter 11, because it's very difficult for me to draw and to write, and to read too, because it's about experiencing joy, and deserving happiness is very difficult. It was blocked for me, and very difficult. So I got stuck, and then finally wrote it with some difficulty, and then I started drawing the illustrations. So I drew about 4 of them, including the one that is on the cover. And then I said, okay, so now I can do the outline and put the chocolate woman and the great Thumbelina in there, because I knew that they were my paintings from the past and I wanted to include them. And I opened my portfolio in the drive on the computer and looked inside, found these paintings, and I found that these characters and these symbols and these motifs, they are there. So it was a surprise for me. It's actually probably shouldn't be a surprise, but it was. The circle, the broken people, the paper queen, everyone is there. So the girl with the braid, many things in it. I had it drawn before, so it was a discovery. So I put everything inside, basing on the motifs, what I can find. For example, the paper queen. I had her. He was the painting was named Empress, but it was her. So I found these motifs and I put it in the right places, and then I filled it in with, corrected the text, added some more, then I drew some illustrations, and of course fighting with chapter 11 again. I couldn't draw illustrations for chapter 11. Every other chapter okay, blah, 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 but not 11. So, okay, I made myself, I had to sit down with myself, think about experiencing joy and deserving happiness a bit more, tiny bit, because I'm still getting there. It's not so easy, but I sat down with myself and kind of opened myself up a bit for this. So finally I drew all the illustrations, and then when the book was finished, I had really big fear of being exposed, because it's just very private. But also the symbols can mean something. They're universal in a way. So these things that are happening there. So some people can find some things for themselves, and it's important for me that somebody sees it and thinks, oh, I see it, I think that I can relate to it, I feel myself, I've been there, I'm stuck with these things, I was getting through this, I am getting through this, and somehow, I want to tell people, that the reader, that you're not alone, with these things that I was struggling so many years, thinking I was alone. So I sending it out to other people that are somehow in their process, or they have this they have this sensitivity to symbols, or to art, to visual, and other kind of sensitivity. So I hope somebody sees it and thinks, I'm not alone in this struggle, in this journey, and we somehow get this resonance between ourselves. So thanks a lot.